Over to you, Alan.
Thank you so much, Charlotte. And thank you so much. I'm looking at the chat box. We have people from all around the world. What would be fun for me is I'm getting my slides up. Let me know what time it is where you're at, because I'm seeing what time are you joining us from? Just write it in the chat box and make sure that you have it set to everyone. I see people at 5 p.m., 3 p.m., 8 p.m. Oh, so gosh, just thank you so much for giving me your time today. I'm going to try not to waste it. We got 12 noon in Greece. Oh, it's just so nice to see everyone. Well, I do want to jump right in because I have a lot to share with you in today's presentation that I want to talk about. I've called Don't Forget the Dictionary ... And this really has come out of some things that I've been seeing while working with teachers during the pandemic, and as we're moving, back and forth in and out of lockdowns and trying to, get our heads around Zoom or different apps or activities of something that is dear to me that I think we may have let slide a little bit, and that is how much of a resource, a great resource, that a dictionary can be for our students. And I do want to point out that I know that dictionaries are nothing new. Nothing in this is going to make you go, oh, wow. Well, maybe it will. But, I just really want us to remember how powerful the dictionary as a tool can be. And I'd like to share with you a few quotes that kind of, I think, give some background to what I'm trying to accomplish today. The first one from Jeremy Harmer, who said, in 2007, perhaps the most useful piece of equipment a student can ever own or use is a good dictionary. I hope you would agree with that. However, it is frequently the case that students buy dictionaries and then never use them, or, and I think this may even be worse, use them inappropriately because they are unfamiliar with the riches contained within them and have never been trained in how and when to use them. And another one from 2014 that also uses that word rich in a different way: dictionaries are rich and often underused source of information. And I think that that's true. Dictionary use is not easy. Learners need guidance and practice in using this analytic tool that organizes language, and hands-on dictionary practice is very useful to students. And even something more recent from 2020, the dictionary use can be effective, but it should not be seen as inherently easy. And this is my whole point today. I think we know the dictionary's there, but have we been taking it for granted? I don't know if you have. I know that certainly maybe I have, and I know some teachers that I have worked with recently admit that they have. And we need to remember that learners may well benefit from some practice in using their dictionaries, whether paper or electronic. And it is also useful for teachers to go over key points with their learners, as they may not bother to consider this information on their own. We cannot assume that our learners, just because they know that a dictionary is online these days, that they're getting the most out of it. And that really is what this presentation is about. I think that a lot of our learners know that they have dictionaries available to them, but are they getting the most out of it? And that's what I want to talk about today. Now, I'm going to use as my examples the Cambridge Dictionary. That should not come as a surprise to you. I work for Cambridge, but a lot of these principles apply whether you use a paper dictionary or some other electronic dictionary. But what I want to show you are the riches that I think that abound in the Cambridge Dictionary. So I'm going to start with a word. Now I can look in the chat box and I can see that I have people from Malaysia and Thailand. It's not going to be a word that is new to you. But so Natalie, I see you. Hello. This is going to be a word you know. Some of you, this may be a word that you've never seen before. Now, here's what I want. If this is a word that you know, don't write what it is in the chat box. Can you use a sentence with the word that would let me know you understand the word without giving the word away? The word is durian. And if you've never heard that word, then just put in the chat box, huh? That's a new word. But Melissa said, I love to eat durian. Sonia, no, yeah. Durian smells, yeah. Never heard it, yeah. My favorite fruit is for some people, it's a new word. Excellent. Yeah, it's a tropical fruit. It smells terrible. Never heard of it. Never heard of it. New word. Great. Now, I picked this word because I thought it would be new for a lot of people. And again, I just wanted to show, and I'm going to switch real quick to the dictionary page. Now, what I'm looking at right now is the live website for the Cambridge Dictionary. And the first thing that I want to point out, and this, by the way, is dictionary.cambridge.org. This isn't my PowerPoint anymore. I'm being brave, so bear with me if the internet gets a little bit slow. But one of the things I want to say right away is that we call it the Cambridge Dictionary, but I actually think that's a bad way to describe it. The Cambridge Dictionary is a lot of dictionaries. And I think that the first thing I want to say is this is important because we have learners at different levels. We have learners who can access language at different levels. And I think finding the right dictionary that can actually be useful to learners is important. Now, I'm going to go here to a translation dictionary because one of the things that we offer through this are dual translation dictionaries, like English to French, French to English, and you can actually go back and forth. But we also have some one-way dictionaries. For example, here, the English to Thai dictionary. And as I push this, I can move my Zoom thing out of the way. And if I type in live the word durian, for my lower level students, maybe my A1 or A2 level students that aren't going to be able to understand all of the parts of the definition, I still get a definition, but this, like I said, is the English to Thai dictionary. And now at the very bottom, I also get the Thai translation, Durian. So it's not a direct translation like if I would have typed durian into Google Translate or something else. I get the definition, I get the context that the language was in, but I also get to see the Thai translation or whatever other translation that you use to help support the learners. Now, that's different from if I go to the Pure English Dictionary. And if I go to the Pure English Dictionary, you can see that I have the durian here, and I have a large oval tropical fruit with hard skin, and I even get pictures of it to help put it in context of what it means. And I wanted to show you this because, like I said, with the Cambridge Dictionary, maybe the Pure English Dictionary is going to be a little bit more difficult than what your learners can handle. Well, that's why we have, like I said, the translation dictionaries and the essential English and essential British dictionaries, which have more simplified and easier senses of words. Then we have the Learner's Dictionary, which is great for about the B1 level learners. And then we have the English Dictionary, which is, for maybe like the B1 plus B2 level learners, or even for us as teachers. So that's one of the first things that I wanted to point out as we were doing this. Now, the second word that I wanted to explore, robot. Have you heard of this word before? Let me know in the chat box. I like interaction. I want to know if you're saying robot. You know what it means, right? Well, what if I said, go down the street and turn left at the robot? Does that make sense to anyone? It's a Czech word, sure. Go down the street. I see somebody's no. But I saw Juliana says, yes, you get it. Turn left at the robot. It is a borrowed word, yeah. But that's what I like. Natalie's from South Africa. Natalie, how do you use it in South Africa? For those of you maybe watching it on YouTube, Natalie says we use it in South Africa. But it doesn't mean what I think most of us would traditionally call a robot, the hello, I am a robot. But when I look up the word in the dictionary, the Cambridge Dictionary, I'm going to type robot in again. I hope you can see the dictionary now. And what I want to point out is, yes, it does have the sense of the word meaning a machine. But if I scroll down, I can also see that South African English, robot means a traffic light. And I think that this is something that's important as well. I think a lot of people consider dictionaries as, the standard of what is the, the word as it is always in standard form. But a good dictionary is going to give you subtle variances of English. What's it sound like in Englishes around the world? And the Cambridge Dictionary, while it doesn't have every English of the world in there, it has some great examples of language that's in there. My favorite word in the English language is prepone. Now, that was a word that I would have known 5 years ago. And I think if one of my students said prepone, I would tell them not to use it. And I have to admit, it's non-standard English. But my former boss here at Cambridge University Press was from India, and he would use prepone all the time. And I love this word. And even though it's not a word that we would have, like I said, in standard English, I love that it's in the dictionary. And I love that it points out that it is Indian English. But I also love that it's to do something at an earlier time that was planned or is usual. So my whole point is the dictionary for us is not the keeper of, is it a word or not? It's a reflection of how language is used, because dictionaries, in my opinion, should not be the policeman of what is English or not. Dictionaries should be resources that help learners understand and make meaning from what they hear. And yes, Julina in the chat box says prepone, the opposite of postpone. It is in Indian English, and it makes perfect sense. If we can postpone a meeting, why can't we prepone a meeting? I mean, yeah, it makes sense. Now, if a student said, should I use it? I might have a debate about it and talk about, how do people really use it? Would I put it on an IELTS exam? Probably not, because it is Indian English, but maybe try it. I don't know. We can actually have conversations about this. So, like I said, my whole point is we have lots more with the dictionary than just telling us what words mean. The next word that I want to share with you. Now, I put both of these words on there, not for meaning, but because I think that both of these words illustrate another thing that we don't use the dictionary enough for. And I'm wondering if you can just guess in the chat box why I would have these two words. Any idea what both of these words have in common? I don't see it. Yes, and I've only got 30 minutes, and I could talk about the dictionary for 3 hours. I see it right now in the chat box, verbs and nouns. Yes. Do I, if I'm going to, make some music and put it on the internet to sell, will I be, did I record a record, or did I record a record? Or, just how many of our learners sometimes have problems with the ideas between use and use, those sorts of words. So again, when I go to the dictionary, it's not just something that tells us what the words mean. One of the things that I really like, about our dictionary, and I'm using the English dictionary now. Yes, here's the verb, and I can listen to it.
Record.
Or in my US English,
record.
Yeah, that's music to my ears. And I can go down and I can see the examples. And you can see, I can also see around what level each of these senses are understood by students. That's from the from a project that we run to help align the CEFR with a vocabulary called the English Profile, but that's something different. But what I like about this dictionary is if I go all the way down, all the way down, it's still here. I'm going to just type in, there's something called what's the pronunciation of this word? And I can listen to it in somewhat of a way of like, not a minimal pair activity, but to listen to the differences. And it's all right there for me. So how to pronounce this as a verb in British English.
Record.
A noun in British English.
Record.
Yeah, an adjective in British English.
Record.
Or in American English.
Record. Record. Record.
So that I can compare and practice. And I have it right there for the pronunciation all in one place. So, and it's the kind of the same thing with use and use. I will show you that with use and use, when I have that on the Cambridge Dictionary, it's such a common word that when I go down to the pronunciation of it, we have actually, I say we, our dictionary team, I didn't do the work. Our dictionary team has even made videos so that learners can really hear and see different examples of the verb and the noun, so that I can get not just, like I said, the meaning of words, but the pronunciation practice with it. So that's another thing of the dictionary. Now, my next word that I want to share with you, borrow. And I don't know about your students, but borrow is a word that some of my students have problems with. And they have problems with it because they'll say something like, they'll use borrow when they mean lend. I'll try to show you what I mean here. And again, if I look at the word borrow in the dictionary, I can see that there is, the verb and it means receive and this sort of thing. But Cambridge doesn't just have all of these different dictionaries, the translation dictionary, the essential dictionary, there's other things. We also have grammar. And if I look up borrow in grammar, it can give me an article that's from English Grammar Today about lend or borrow, and about the differences between the two, and about typical errors. So that we, like I said, we have this grammar reference that's there in order to help learners with easily confused words. And even if it's something that is a little bit, if the page that this is a little bit too high for the learners, sometimes I use this myself, because sometimes my learners will ask me questions and I think I know the answer, but I don't know if my explanation is clear. So I'll use the grammar part to make sure that I can explain it in a good and cohesive way. I remember one time my students asked me, what's the difference between other, others, the other, and another? And I was like, I know this, but how do I do it in a cohesive way? And I could use that. There's a dictionary or a grammar entry about that in here as well, that I could use, not just to read to the students, but to help guide me in my explanation that students might have. And not only is there grammar, there's also a thesaurus, if you look over on the right. And while borrow itself is not in the thesaurus, if I do something like look at money in the thesaurus, I do have a different type of thesaurus than I think people are used to. It's really much more like a word finder. Now, it does tell you synonyms and antonyms, just like a thesaurus does, but so does our dictionary. If you saw on, prepone, it said opposite of postpone. So we'll find that in a lot of dictionary entries. But our thesaurus that we have at Cambridge is so much more than just a thesaurus. It will say, spend is one word to say this, invest. So it's really good for learners around the B1, B2 level who are maybe using the same word again and again, and we need to expand their vocabulary, especially in their writing, or we want to improve, their range of vocabulary. Not necessarily that they didn't understand, but we want to give them more words with different nuances that help express the meaning. Our thesaurus can really do that with different words. And yeah, it's just, I hope I'm getting you excited about this, because to me, it's a great, great resource. Now, those are the things that come standard with the dictionary. You don't even have to log in to do that. But if you log in and sign up, which by the way is free, we also have something called Dictionary Plus. And I want to show you a little bit about what Dictionary Plus can do, because I think this is amazing. Now, one of the things about dictionaries is it doesn't always just have to be a resource for us to use that's extra when we have a problem. We can combine dictionary use with our course book. Here is a course book that we have at Cambridge. It's called Own It. It's a lower secondary course book. I chose it because it's right in that middle range, 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. And I want to look at two examples from this course book. The first one on the left, it's vocabulary here. And maybe in our time of hybrid learning, or now that we've become more comfortable with technology and we want to do some blended learning or flipped learning and send some stuff home with students beforehand, maybe I want them to explore the vocabulary beforehand. I could use Dictionary Plus to do this, and I want to show you one quick way how. So I'm going back to the dictionary now, and you can see I'm going up to my name because I want to go to, actually, I'm going to go over here to Cambridge Dictionary Plus. And I am logged in. One of the things that I can do with Dictionary Plus is make word lists. And I've already started word lists for this one because I knew about the timing here. And you can see what I've done is I've created 2 different word lists. I have created a word list, one that is based on that Thai dictionary that has kind of easier definitions and the translation. And I made another word list that was kind of a higher level, because I think this is great for differentiation. I think it's great to be able to share these word lists, and you can share these word lists through Dictionary Plus. If you go to the help section, there's explanations of how to do it. Basically, you can make it public and send the link, and then students could decide based on their level which word list that they want. And it's real easy to add a word to a word list. If I go to the dictionary here, I'm going to go to the English word list. And this unit was about pronunciation. And one of the words was wave. Now, wave has different senses to it. Wave could be that thing in the ocean, but that's not what I'm talking about. Wave for communication is this one, to raise your hand and move it from side to side as a way of greeting someone. And I can just click this plus button and I can add that to my vocabulary list. And now it's added to that vocabulary list that I can share with my students. And I don't know if you also saw this, but one of the things that I could do with this vocabulary list is it can generate a quiz. Let me go to my word list real quick. It can generate a quiz, and the quizzes are really amazing. Sometimes it will ask students via picture, what is this? Or it will just say the word and I type it in like some transcription, or it will give the definition and I have to type in the word or choose the right word. They're really good quizzes, and I really encourage you to experiment and go with the test yourself and see what it's like. Again, it's absolutely free, but you can also download these word lists. And when you download the word list, it gives it to you in a Microsoft Excel or a spreadsheet format. And then you can upload those word lists to Kahoot or Mentimeter or Word, whatever you want to do that can make some sort of quiz and just save you time as a teacher to make some games that you have on hand very, very quick. Can you use it with students in your class? Absolutely. Or you can use it as a teacher yourself. Absolutely. For me, I would probably download the word list and make a Kahoot quiz because I like Kahoot, but that's just me. The choice is endless, but it's all there, all for you. And like I said, you can make these public or not public. WordWall, I do love WordWall as well. Yeah, there's so many good options to do it. So I think you get the idea there. The other thing that I wanted to share with you real quick, if you look at the one on the right, it says body language. And this next one you might want to be a little bit careful with. But one of the things we also have with our dictionaries, and let me go back, I'm in the dictionary now. If I type in, like the word gesture or body language or something like that, we also have something that's different than a thesaurus. We have this thing called smart vocabulary. And what smart vocabulary does is it tells us words that kind of are in the same feel of the word. So here is gesture, right? A movement of the hands or arms. And if I go to smart vocabulary to see related words and phrases, I can get more words that maybe are newer, like air punch or signing, or like I said, you do have to be a little bit careful because this is a dictionary. It's going to have words like flip somebody off of it. You may not want your students to know that, even though, to be honest with you, my students usually know the bad words without me having to tell them. It's different than a thesaurus because it's words related around that word. And I don't know if you can see it down at the bottom, but I can also see collocations with different things along with the pronunciation. So what collocations go with this? And I can even see translations if I want to translate the word, because again, dictionaries are not about protecting the English language. They're about making meaning happen for our students. So that's just two ways that you could use it with the course book, either with word lists or to help students expand their vocabulary. Great for fast finishers, great for hybrid classrooms if you have to deal with your in-class students and you need a task for your online students and then switch. Just great extra things that they can do. And I do want to show you one more thing. I want to know if anybody is wearing their bounce back wardrobe today. I'm wearing my bounce back wardrobe. In the chat box, let me know. Are you wearing your bounce back wardrobe? He says, no idea. That's fantastic. No, question mark, sure. You're saying no idea. This is one of my favorite things to do with maybe, I mean, it's going to be upper secondary learners or things, but one of the things that I love about our dictionary as well is if I go down to the bottom, there is something called new words. And these are words that have not yet been added to the dictionary, but our corpus research team, our lexicographers that we have at Cambridge, have noticed that these words have started popping up. So you can see new words, and here's what a bounce back wardrobe is: all the clothes that someone owns or wants to buy for the period of time after lockdown, when they're back at work and going out socially again. And, you know, a year ago, one of my favorite new words was Zoomwear, which was defined as, you know, dressing up and professionally from the top part, but wearing shorts or leisure wear at the bottom. And again, these aren't words that have necessarily been around. They may just be slang. We don't know if it's good enough to be added to the dictionary yet. But I've also used it not as, you know, what, let's look up what this word means, but to really, if I have classes where I want to talk about current events or I want to discuss things, if I look at last week's new words, it's epidermal VR and the Internet of Senses. And maybe I have a unit about technology and I can use this, especially if I'm in a B1 preliminary class or a B2 first class or an IELTS prep course, you know, for the learners at this age, to really get the topic new and now. And it doesn't just give me the definition, it gives me where they found it and the context that it was in. So dictionaries don't just have to be when we need them for help. Dictionaries for us as teachers can give us some new ideas. You know, what are the new words today? And, you know, would I want to bring in that in a lesson just to bring it for fun? You know, for me, the dictionary was always the godsend, not because I really planned for it all the time in my lesson, but the dictionary is also great for fun. You know, when we have those classes and we look at the clock and there's 8 minutes left and there's not enough time to start with the next part that we had planned in the lesson, but there's too much time to, you know, to just say we're going to finish now. The dictionary was always my source that I could go to extend that. So I hope I showed you a lot. I hope I gave you enough to really go back and look at our Cambridge dictionary again. I'll say that don't forget the dictionary ... And what I mean by that is don't forget the dictionary gives us so much more than just the denotation of what a word means. It shows us sense, meaning, form, pronunciation, use, translation, collocation, association, sociolinguistic and cultural information, and so on. It can be integrated easily into lessons, but learners still need to be trained, you know, on its use and how to develop its strategies. They need to be trained which dictionary they should use or how they should use translation appropriately, or challenge themselves up to, you know, to going from the essential to the learner's dictionary when it's time. You know, we can't take it for granted. We need to be pointing this out to students. But it's not just for our students, it's a resource for teachers also. Remember that grammar section, remember the thesaurus section that I showed you. And like I said, it can be a stimulus to language use in the classroom, as well as its traditional role as a reference, especially if we use the thesaurus or that smart vocabulary lookup that we have. I do want to remind you that it is dictionary.cambridge.org. And the greatest thing is, and I can't believe I'm saying this, it's absolutely free, people. Free. So if you don't like it, you'll get your money back. And that's what I wanted to say. Thank you so much for, and right now we will have some time for questions. So that's just it. Thank you all very, very much for your time.
Thanks, Alan. That was fun. I am definitely wearing my bounce back wardrobe. So we're in team red shirts today. I'm also going to try and find a durian fruit.
Oh, good luck. Yeah, I mean, words cannot express
that was
how
a brilliant
bad they
session.
smell.
And so we've got lots of questions for you. So I'm going to dive into a few of the questions now. There's some quite interesting ones here. So the first one, I think this is quite an interesting one. This is from a teacher saying that they encourage their students to use monolingual dictionaries, but students keep turning to bilingual dictionaries. And how could you solve that problem?
I don't know if it's a problem that needs to be solved. Now, I have to tell you that I don't believe in an English only classroom. I believe in an English, I believe in an English as much as possible classroom. And by English as much as possible classroom, what I think is that if a student is using the bilingual translation, I'm looking that, is it the sense of the word? Do they need that support at first? And so I want to give them that support, but then maybe I want to encourage them to use the word list that doesn't have it. So that's why I made two different word lists there, one that had the translation and one that didn't, and just really try to motivate learners and set them an aspiration of, can you do it without it? Instead of being the language police that says, don't you ever use translation, because I live in Thailand. I speak Thai. I sure do use Google Translate. It's disingenuous to say we shouldn't be using all the tools that are available to us. What we do as teachers is not say you have to use this tool this way. It's about making sure that we can use all the tools we have to greatest effect. So that's what I would say.
Brilliant. We're just losing a little bit internet connection sometimes, Alan, just so you're aware, but we'll keep going. Perseverance. I think is that the word of the year?
You gave it away. It's the word of the year, isn't it? Perseverance, the Cambridge Dictionary.
Oh no,
word of the year.
Were you going to save that till last?
No, I wasn't. No, you're fine. No. We do have the word of the year, and it's a great one. It's on the dictionary blog. Look it up, people. We're having too much fun. See how fun the dictionaries are, people? They're the best.
Totally fun. Okay, so we've got another interesting question here. This is a good one. What age should students start using dictionaries? What do you think, Alan?
Okay, well, I do have to be careful here. Technically, I think dictionaries, when we come to the technical license of things, we say, really appropriate on your own at 16 and up. But I think that when we say students using a dictionary, I think that what we have to say is, when are they introduced to the dictionary? And by when are they introduced to the dictionary, I would say, for me, late primary is a good way to start talking about basic dictionary skills, maybe in the word lists that we create, maybe in the glossaries that we make, but to show them that, list of words and how definitions work in general. Then around the A2 level in lower secondary, I might be bringing in the essential dictionary. And I say the essential dictionary because that is at a level where the meanings could be understood, and it kind of sorts out the more complex definitions. Then around B1, I'd probably go to the learner's dictionary, and B1 plus, like I said, that's when I would go to the English dictionary. It's not so much for me about age as it is, choosing the right level that has the meanings that they would understand. And for A1 level students, what's wrong with the translation dictionary? Nothing, because it does give the translation, but it also shows how a dictionary works and puts the word in context. So even if we are giving them the easy way out with what the word means, we're showing them all the richness that a dictionary can provide that you don't get with online translation software.
Great. I had a few technical difficulties there, so I think I missed some of that, but okay, I'm back now. Okay. Perseverance.
Perseverance.
Exactly. I've got a question here. There's a few questions around, how to use printed dictionaries still, because a lot of people still don't have online access. And again, how would is it still relevant to teach with a printed dictionary? So like finding the word in alphabetical order, etc., things like that.
Absolutely. And just how a dictionary works. What I would say is it's not so much about you're not going to get all the extra grammar, thesaurus, stuff like that. But what you are going to be able to show the students, again, are how guide words work. Again, why alphabetical order is important. It's there. How to use the dictionary for spelling. Bring it into kind of a phonics level. If they give them some hard words that are the difference between the ones that start with F and PH, and see if they can find it in the dictionary and give them the chance to look it up. But what I would say is one, like what I see in the chat box here, teaching alphabetical order and guide words, but also teaching what their specific print dictionary has to offer. We get the meanings from it, but students don't realize that if they have a verb and it has the T versus the I afterwards, that it means transitive or intransitive, and showing them the grammar things, and they don't really necessarily have to remember transitive or intransitive, but which one takes an object, which one doesn't take an object, or being able to see how the word stress works with it. So depending on your dictionary, there's a wealth of information besides just the meaning, no matter which you use. All right, Charlotte, are you still with me? Have I?
Yes.
Okay, there you go. What's that word of the year?
We are having quite a few technical difficulties. Perseverance. So I'm going to try one more question. We'll just keep going, Alan, but if it really gets bad, I might have to finish early, just letting you know. But okay. I did have another really good question. Let me just see. Oh, yes, this was around using Google Translate. That a lot of students use Google Translate because they think it's easier to express, what they want to say, what they want to express. And how do you make them use a dictionary when they've got Google Translate available?
One of my favorite activities to do is what I call translation bloopers or translation mistakes. And one of the things I like to do is I'll take a reading passage from the course book and I will type it in English into Google Translate into the language of the student. So, it'll translate, in my case, in my context, from English to Thai. And I will have the students with books closed look at what I, either I'll print it out on a worksheet or I'll, put it up on my PowerPoint slides, and I'll just have them read it in their first language and see, how Google did, because Google's getting better and better, but it still makes some funny mistakes. And then we can talk about what do you think it's trying to say there? And then we can look at the original and we can talk about why Google made that mistake. And we can look at different word senses and different ways. So I don't fight against Google, but I want students, if they're going to use it, to understand its limitations and why they still need a dictionary as a tool along with Google. I would never say don't use Google. What I would say to my students is use Google, but remember, when it fails you, the dictionary's right there. And the better you are at using the dictionary, the better you're going to be, with what you're doing. And then also the other thing that the dictionary can't do, which a good thesaurus can do, or which our online dictionary can do, like I said, is provide those collocations, is provide help for writing. When we've said, you've used this word and it's not exactly right. If they said, my friend told, instead of, my friend told, go there, well, why can't you say that? There's a difference between say and tell. Google Translate can't help you with that, but our dictionary can. So again, it's so much more than just translation.
Brilliant.
I do not fight against translation. I just think that we add on to it, and the dictionary is the tool to make it better.
Yeah. Okay. A few teachers are asking if there are any resources that we have which could help them to use the dictionary in their classes. I don't know if we have anything on the website, maybe, Alan, that we could recommend.
Look, there's the dictionary blog. There's, if you look already at some of our YouTube channel, I know Corey Stamper has done a video on using the dictionary. I know Kasha. We have things that we've already done at Cambridge, so I would start there. Also, you know, the British Council Teaching English website has some good activities for using the dictionary, but also we have a blog, a dictionary blog, and it has things like word of the day and other things that you could use for it. But the number one thing that I would say, if I've really made you excited about using the dictionary, is go sign up, look at Dictionary Plus, look at Dictionary Plus Help. I mean, it is made for teachers to be used in the classroom, and it can kind of guide you. But the sky's the limit. Don't be boxed in by a few activities. Yeah, there's so much to it there. Just don't forget that, you know, like I said, don't forget the dictionary is there. It's underused, and it's the best.
It is great. Well, that's probably all we've got time for today, Alan.